Hey everybody! Welcome back to the ABCs of RPGs, where we teach you the basics of tabletop role-playing games. You've joined us in the middle of us starting Fallout, the role-playing game. Not the video game, but the tabletop role-playing game that they transferred from the video game. If you're unfamiliar with the Fallout universe, Fallout takes place in a nuclear apocalypse. In an alternate history where the US was fighting a war against China, tensions have arisen and they actually ended up shooting off all the bombs. This is set in the distant future where the whole United States landscape is irradiated and there's a few survivors, tons of mutated creatures, and it's pretty deadly. There's even some vaults and shelters that have opened up and allowed some people to crawl out into this nightmare. It's a little bit of a futuristic retro because the culture of the United States has stayed in the 50s, but technology has advanced to a point where cold fusion is possible, if I remember that correctly. They've solved kind of like an energy crisis in one part, but a lot of other resources were drained in the process. So that's where we're kind of picking up. And before I go any further, let me introduce my players. Dalton.
Hello, everybody. My name's Dalton. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm excited to play the Fallout game. Dan, you want to introduce yourself next?
What's up, everyone? My name's Dan. Pronouns are also he, him, and I am more excited than Dalton to play the Fallout game. Oh, you can't kill me.
Shade.
Hi, my name's Ashley. My pronouns.
Oh yeah, it's Ashley.
That's Ashley. That's her. That's me. And I would say I am excited to play Fallout, but definitely not nearly as excited as Dan. I think Dan's more excited than I am.
Yeah, and speaking of, yeah, I was gonna ask everybody, what's everybody's connection to Fallout? Now, I've played Fallout 3 when it came out, and I played Fallout 4 a lot when that came out. And that was my real main ties to the Fallout series. But what is everybody else? What has connected you to this universe and the game?
I have absolutely zero connection to Fallout, so this is gonna be fun for me. I know pretty much everything that Spencer has said. I think I watched one of the trailers for one of the games, or like War is Constant or something cool.
War.
Badass.
War never changes.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. And then I've seen some trailers for the new TV show, and I mean, it looks cool, but and Jeffrey, the one there's a vault full of the one dude, and I know about him. Or he's all the same dude.
It's just one clone of the same dude, yeah.
Yes, I can't remember his name anymore, but that's my other connection. Dan, do you want to talk about your connections to Fallout, which are probably a little bit stronger than mine?
We can bounce to me, sure. Where do I start? So it's 8th grade. It's 2007, I think. 2008. I can't remember exactly. Fallout 3 on the Xbox 360. Played that. Brought it over to my buddy's house. Played it the entire weekend. We would do that like every weekend for months. Fallout 3 was fantastic. Played the hell out of Fallout in New Vegas. It's my personal favorite. They made a mobile game called Fallout like Shelter that they dropped before Fallout 4 that I played heavily. Played the crap out of Fallout 4. And then Fallout 76, played a little bit. We all kind of know what happened with that. And I've heard it's gotten way better, and I just haven't hopped back into it. So I'm very excited for the upcoming TV show. I love the lore of the Fallout universe. I'm just a big Bethesda game guy. So I'm super pumped for this. And with that, Dalton.
Yeah. I played some Fallout games. I definitely played Fallout 3. Haven't really played like anything after that, and Fallout 1 and 2 have been in my want to play list for a very, very long time, but I've never gotten around to it.
Yeah.
Because I like that style of game too. Yeah, excited for the TV show. I think I know more lore stuff just from like watching random YouTube. I don't want to call them video essays, but like video explainers.
Yeah.
I love the like Martian alien subplot that is like running behind all of the Fallout games. I think that's probably one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite things about it. Yeah, yeah. There's like legitimately aliens that have like invaded Earth, and like I think it's Fallout 4 was one of the times you can find them, or was it 76?
3, there was a alien DLC where they, I think, were first introduced. Maybe. I don't know if they were introduced in Fallout 1 or 2 before, but I know there was a DLC for Fallout 3 that brought aliens in, because there was the blaster rifle, and it was only one. There was a limited amount of ammo, so you had to like choose when to use it.
Yeah.
I am pleased to tell you guys, I did look through what kind of characters they provide, like for the GM to like use for in the game. There is one for the alien.
Nice.
They have a character. So it is possible to make some alien adventures in the RPG. So
That makes sense.
see, whenever I've done video essays like you did, Dalton, it's been all the vault experiments. Those are what really interested me. I love hearing about all those.
Yeah. Also, I'm just big. Is it where does it take place? Where's Bethesda? Baltimore. Big Baltimore fan.
Yeah.
You're a big Baltimore fan?
No.
I was about to say, man, like.
Well, with all of that, let's get right into it. So, this is Fallout the RPG is done by Modiphius. They use their 2d20 system for this. Now, none of you were in the Dune RPG that we did last campaign, but if anybody's following from watching that, it's very similar system. I will say the combat is a lot more extensive in this one, but the base mechanics of it are pretty much the same. But for everybody who's new to this, I just want to kind of go over the basics of kind of how the roles kind of work, because it is a different kind of system. And then we'll kind of go into creating our characters, because once we start creating our characters, a lot of the other things are gonna kind of fall into place and make sense. I will say from our time with the Dune RPG,
Into place.
yeah, all fit into place. Fall, yes. So, so just like the Dune RPG, it uses 2d20. So essentially, what you kind of want to look at, this is going to be confusing at first, but once you start actually rolling dice, it will make sense. It is a combination of D&D's skill plus proficiency. Whenever you're rolling for that, you're kind of rolling to kind of like, while adding numbers, those two numbers together. You're going to take a base stat and kind of like a proficiency in this game and add it together. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to roll under that number for a success. So if you guys have some character sheets pulled up, you'll see a bunch of those different base stats at the top of the character sheet. Everything from like, if this is straight out of the Fallout game, by the way. So you have strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. And you're basically taking one of those stats, adding it to one of your skills that you have, and that is a target number you're trying to roll under for a success. But much like Werewolf, you're trying to get a certain amount of successes. So whenever you're rolling, you always start with 2 d20s to roll. And then you can buy more depending on this kind of like pool of d20s that each of you share, called action points. Just like straight out of the game, action points is a thing in this too. To those who are familiar with Dune, it's momentum. It's the exact same thing, just called by a different name. And basically, by doing that, you can add more d20s that you're rolling for a specific skill check, up to 5. So you could be rolling 5 d20s at any point, but whenever you're making a skill check, you're always going to start off with 2. That's really confusing, and it's not going to make a whole lot of sense right now, but just know that whenever you're making a roll, and that roll is key to whatever you're doing within this 2d20 system, you're just adding a skill, or sorry, you're adding a stat plus a skill together to reach a target number that you're trying to roll under. And then you just get a bunch of dice you roll, and you try to hit it. So, with that, there's a lot more to it, and when we're getting to action points and kind of combat and everything, but we'll kind of address that later. Let's go ahead and kind of roll into the character sheet, because that way we can kind of start going over the different things on your character sheets, and that will kind of start to make sense about what you're kind of using when you're doing different stuff. Because a lot of this, I mean, when you're looking at the stats and skills, a lot of this is going to be straight. If you're familiar with the game, it's going to be very similar to the video game, but also very similar to D&D. It's kind of interesting to see RPGs, like video games, kind of do a circle coming from D&D, kind of an origin inspiring these types of RPG video games, and then coming back, and now there's a Fallout tabletop role-playing game. So it's a little bit circular in that sense, but it's going to be fun. So a lot of this should make sense, and as we're kind of going to go through it, you'll at least, even if you don't understand fully what the skill roll is, you'll still be able to understand what your character is going to be good at, depending on what you're putting points into. But with that, let's go ahead and turn to the character creation guide. So we're using the core rulebook. We're going to go ahead and turn to page, I believe, 42 for character creation. Yes. So on page 42, it starts off with our character creation and going straight into attributes. I was calling them stats before, but they are called special attributes. Make sure you have kind of a character sheet available. If you guys download it from the site, it is free. It's form fillable. But also, I have a Roll20 game made for us. I think I mentioned this before, but there's character sheets in Roll20. They are already pre-made, so you get to kind of load into your character and use those. Super nice that you can have a character sheet on there and use that. It's super cool. There are 2 different ones. There's a robot-specific one and a human-specific one. So for now, we'll just grab a human one, and if you need to switch over to a robot later, we can do that. So
It looks like the Roll20 character sheet has a robot toggle on it.
Oh, it does? That's awesome. That's perfect.
I am not seeing my character sheet. I'm seeing one that says Ashley's character and
I gotta share that with you, Dan. I'll go ahead and do that. But
Spencer
while
doesn't
I'm
want you
doing
to
that,
play.
can somebody start reading off the different special attributes and kind of talking about what each of them generally do, if you're familiar with them at least?
Yeah, I'll start off. So first you've got, so each one, the first letter of each one spells special. There are 7 of them. So the first one, S, is strength. That is how strong you are. It also helps determine melee damage. It helps determine how much you can, your carry weight is. I don't think it has anything. I think endurance is more of damage resistance. So I don't
Correct.
think strength so strength pretty much determines, I think also strength helps determine how well you can hold big guns. But those are the main things that strength determines. And then after that is P, perception. In the video games, perception helped determine how far away enemies would be on your little mini map radar. So I actually don't remember. I think perception is part of
Initiative?
Yeah, it's part of
And
initiative. Yeah,
energy weapons.
Yeah, okay. And then endurance, that helps with health, and it's also your damage resistance. Also, oh wait, no, the skills. If you look at the skills, actually, big guns is under endurance, not strength.
Yeah, so endurance is what helps out your big guns, because strength is more so your melee damage. So yeah, you got it.
Right. No, it's interesting because in the video games, strength is big guns is strength.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just an interesting change that they made. Does someone else want to go, or do you want me to keep going? Or
Sure, I can take a couple. I think next up is C for charisma, which is one of the more another self-explanatory one. Has to do with like convincing people of things, changing your minds, bartering, that sort of stuff.
Just like D&D.
And then another one is intelligence, how smart you are, kind of like studying the world around you, solving problems, being clever, that sort of thing.
It's also good to note that intelligence helps you heal stuff. So medicine and first aid is what's going to be using intelligence as well.
And I think is it intelligence that helps you with more skills?
Yeah, like repair and science as well. So if you want to kind of be that kind of stuff, yes.
Well, no, during character creation, you like add levels to skills based off of your intelligence.
Oh, I didn't realize that was.
I think I might be wrong about that.
I know in the video games, the higher your intelligence was, the more XP.
Yeah, spend 9+ int points to increase your skill ranks. Yeah, so you get more. You just get to pick more stuff to be good at.
Yeah,
with
more
higher
skills.
Intelligence. Ashley, do you want to finish us out?
Looks like A is for agility. Measuring how fit and agile you are, balance, athletic suppleness, and how precisely you can control your body, used to make ranged attacks with small guns. And you want to be agile if you want to be nimble and solve your problems with accuracy and skill. And then there is luck, which is kind of self-explanatory. Luck gives you points to spend to add to story details. You use your luck attribute when you make skill tests and reroll dice.
Yeah. Well,
And the really cool thing about, sorry, Spencer,
no, go ahead.
Yeah. The really cool thing about luck in the tabletop version, in the video games, luck basically like helped determine like crit hits and stuff like that. Or the chance of, like different things, maybe you would find more ammo, maybe you'd find more money, yada, yada. It works pretty similarly in the TTRPG, but also there is luck points, which you can spend to like influence outcomes, do different actions. So that's pretty cool. And then the other really cool thing about having luck is any skill, anything that you're like skilled at, I think it's like the tag skill, you can use luck instead of whatever that skill is if your luck's higher.
Yeah. Which is really cool.
Yeah. Luck works really cool in the TTRPG.
Yeah. It's if you're looking for more details on luck, it's page 20 and 21. Like Dan was saying, that's specific called stacked deck. So you can spend 1 point of luck before you attempt a skill test to use luck instead of your default attribute. So essentially, if your luck is higher than that default one, it might be better to roll that, especially if you really need to get it done. So yeah, a lot of really cool little things you can use your pool of luck for, and just for Fallout, which is really cool. But yeah, like Dan said, that's the last. It's I always forget that that's what special stands for. Is it's all the skills or all the attributes names in a row. But next up, go ahead, Dan.
When you start like in Fallout 3 and when you start in 4 as well, there's a little like kids book, and it's like you're special, and like that's when you like pick your skills, and it's like
yes,
it's for strength. It's kind of exactly like how we just did it. It's pretty funny.
Oh. And next up, we have the skills. So, like I was saying, if you're coming from a 5th edition of D&D kind of background, those attributes are going to be close related to just like stats in D&D. And skills are just like skill proficiencies in D&D. So each of these skills are tied to an attribute. Dan, you were already kind of talking about it earlier. So athletics, the very first skill, is tied to strength. So normally, whenever you're rolling that 2d20 roll, you're going to pair those two numbers together to add up for the roll you're trying to hit under that. So these, it does say in the book, though, these are what's normally associated with it. But there could be instances where you're making a roll that uses something other than like a different skill and attribute pairing. It's really up to kind of the game master at that point. But I would say normally this is what you stick to for making these rolls. And there's a ton here. Probably won't go into too much detail just because a lot of them I feel like are self-explanatory and there's a lot. But you have athletics, barter, big guns, energy weapons, explosives, lockpick, medicine, melee weapons, pilot, repair skill, repair, science, small guns, sneak, speech, survival, throwing, unarmed. So it's just good to kind of keep in mind, like if you want to be really sneaky, then when you're assigning just different points or different attributes, it's good to know that sneak is often paired with agility if you want to do that. Like we were saying before, like Dan mentioned, big guns is tied to endurance in this one. So keep in mind, if you want to be good at big guns, you're going to have to put points in endurance. And that's going to be important when we're assigning these different things. Skills can't go below the rank of 0, and they can't be increased beyond 6. So that's a good thing to keep in mind, too, as we're kind of moving forward. But, yeah. Next up, we have derived statistics. Derived statistics means that these are statistics that's derived from your attributes. So, for example, your carry weight is your strength attribute multiplied by 10. So that's how much you can carry. Initiative is going to be is equal to your perception plus agility. So there's no roll for initiative in Fallout. It's just kind of a set number that's always assigned. You can do different things, such as using luck to kind of change the initiative order, but that's normally how it's determined. So if you want to be pretty quick in combat, it's good to have both your perception and agility up as well. Defense is based on agility. That's basically kind of like the default number of how many successes is needed to make a successful hit on your character. Damage resistance is basically normally like comes from armor, but it can be from different things. It's calculated from the final total of how much damage you would normally take. It minuses straight from that. In some characters, some different origins for characters are just immune to certain types of damages. So that's typically what that means. Health points is from, let's see here. It's by adding your endurance and your luck scores together. So that's how much health points you start out with. So very different from Dune, if you're following along from Dune. Dune did not have HP. You very much do have HP in this one. And you can be knocked out and brought back up using first aid and all that kind of fun stuff. And then melee damage is just based on your strength attribute. So if you see you get some extra bonus dice for your strength being 7 and above on different kind of like you get a +1, a +2, or a +3 based on that. So does all that kind of make sense to everybody so far?
Yep. Makes sense to me.
Great. Cool. There are perks as well that we'll kind of go over. If you're familiar with the video game, these are kind of the extra little bonus things you get. Sometimes you need to have attribute skill at a certain level to take different perks, but there are a ton. They're even more so than skills. We're probably not going to go over every single perk because just like the video game, there are so many, but it's kind of good to kind of flip through and kind of check out what they are, because if you want to be really good at like repairing stuff, there's going to be different things that you're going to want to invest in for perks in order to like either be better at repairing or building mods or modifying weapons, that kind of stuff. That's a little bit it's a little bit later on, but you're only, I believe, get one perk starting out, so you don't have to think too hard about it at the beginning. Probably just pick something basic to start off with. And then next up on page 49, as we're kind of going through all the different character creation, it kind of goes into character advancement. We don't really have to worry about that right now, but it does give examples for experience points and milestone progression, which is pretty cool. But now, starting on page 50, we are getting to the meat and potatoes of our character creation now. We've kind of gone over a little bit. If you guys are looking at your character sheet, you can kind of see how some things are going to be filled in, such as your attributes at the top, your skills on the left, your health on the right side, as well as initiative and defense. Now on page 50, you can see that this is the character creation summary. So there are 6 steps in total. The first is choosing an origin, then increase special attributes, so choosing all your special attributes. We're going to do tag skills and buy skill ranks. We're going to choose our first perk, calculate our derived statistics, and then finally choose the starting equipment. And a lot of this is kind of guided, kind of hold your hand through it, so it'll be pretty easy. So let's just go ahead. Did you guys already take a look through some of the origins, or have any ideas about the different origins that you were thinking about doing?
I've looked through them. We were talking about this before, and we're all fairly open about it. I don't know if anybody had any like strong opinions one way or the other. I go for it, Ash.
I had 3 that I was interested in. I thought Ghoul, Super Mutant, and Vault Dweller were all intriguing to me. Vault Dweller kind of, we had talked about, might make sense for me as someone who doesn't know anything about Fallout, so it's kind of a way to retcon that my character also doesn't know anything about the universe very well. But Ghouls and Super Mutants sounded interesting as well, so.
Yeah, I was thinking personally, I'd either be like a ghoul greaser guy, like Danny Zuko in Grease, but a ghoul that has a bat,
Nice.
pompadour, kind of thing. Or maybe like
Greaser gang in Fallout New Vegas called the Kings.
hell yeah. They're out west though. We're on the East Coast here.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
or a Mr. Handy robot, because that's goofy as heck.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, whenever I think of like greaser type characters in the Fallout universe, I'm always never not going to think about the tunnel snakes from Fallout 3.
Oh,
Starting out.
God, yeah.
Yeah. Tunnel snakes rule.
Yeah.
Oh. But yeah, Ash, like you said, if you're starting out and not really sure what kind of origin to choose from, I always recommend either Vault Dweller or Survivor. Vault Dweller really fits into the canon of like they've been in like a shelter for their entire life, and emerged out of it not really knowing about the wasteland. So it really makes sense if you're playing with people like Dan or like Dalton or me, to be like your character. You can stay in character and ask us a question, and we can give a response to you in character as well, which is pretty fun. Even Survivor, I mean, you could even play off like your Survivor stayed in a small little settlement for like their whole life, and they also didn't get out into the wasteland, and somehow now they're in the wasteland. So, but all fun origins that you guys are kind of going for. So,
Dan, what are you thinking for origin?
So I've got 3 in mind. Now kind of 4. I'm honestly down to play what. I was thinking about playing a Mr. Handy as, but naming him Mr. Fisty. I was thinking about playing a super mutant. I think that would be pretty fun, just playing like a big dumb smash. I was thinking about playing like kind of like a ghoul, but like a cowboy ghoul. And then I'm also looking at Brotherhood Initiate, and Brotherhood Initiate looks pretty cool. I just don't know. I want power armor is what I want. I want to be a knight. I want the big old, what you see, and what Fallout's probably most known for, right? The big armor.
Yeah,
so
always on the cover. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I loved Fallout 4 for like letting you have more fun with power armor like that, and getting it like pretty early and it becoming like a part of the game.
Do Brotherhood Initiates get power armor early on in this one?
I don't think so. I think it's later on. Yeah.
No, and canonically in the Brotherhood of Steel, you have to be at least a knight level. So I think it's like initiate, acolyte, knight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exactly. There's a chain of command though, and there's like you have to be at least a knight to get power armor because I don't think they manufacture the power armor. I think it's like left over from
What they find.
what they find. Yeah. So not everyone can have one.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, go ahead, Dalton. Sorry.
I know it's in the game. I just wasn't sure if why you would do Brotherhood, Dan, is to get power armor. Unfortunately, I don't think we get to that point.
Right. That's I know. Right. So that's like I'm like, what if I like steal something? Steal.
But yeah, Ashley, just so you know, we're discussing these different backgrounds, but Brotherhood Initiate, the Brotherhood of Steel is, and it says right here, that's what's really cool is that all these different origins, they kind of give you like a little like factoid about like, you know, what their organization is, what they kind of do. But like each of these different origins also do mechanically different things for your character, which is pretty cool. But it says right here, the Brotherhood of Steel's primary goal is the recovery and preservation of technology in the pre-war world. But you'll kind of notice that one of the traits that you get with that is the chain that binds. One of the biggest things about the Brotherhood of Steel is that it's a very militaristic kind of order where this trait specifically says like you cannot disobey a direct order from your higher up. So it's one of those things where it's like that's the trade-off. Like Dan, you're debating about, oh, but I get really access to power armor pretty early on. But one of the caveats might be is you might have to do some stuff that your commander has to do, and you can't say no to it.
Yeah, you're kind of a fascist, a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little fascist.
Just enough to get cool power armor.
Well, I think I'm going to be a vault dweller.
Cool. Ashley's decided on Vault Dweller.
Nice.
I think if that's the case, then I think I'm going to be a ghoul then.
So it sounds like I'm either picking Mr. Fisty or Super Mutant. So are you gonna like use guns, Dalton?
I was thinking about like a bat and small guns, like a shotgun, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna play a Super Mutant.
Sick.
Oh, that's perfect. Well, now that all of you kind of choose an origin, this is a really good time to make sure you know on the second page of your character sheet, there is a section in the top right called Perks and Traits. If you're following along with like a pre-generated character sheet, it already has it kind of filled in. Like this is where at the top you would put like, for example, Vault Dweller at the top there. It doesn't have a rank, so you just kind of leave that blank or put a dash through that. But like, for example, like a Vault Dweller, they have -1 difficulty to endurance tests to resist disease. You gain 1 additional tag skill as well. So that's one of the benefits of being a Vault Dweller. I forget if they get anything else. Ashley, is there anything else there that it says that Vault Dwellers get? I think that's the main thing. Yeah, it's just 1 additional tag skill of your choice. Sorry, Ash, I think I saw your mouth move. I can't hear you. Did you say something?
Reduce the difficulty of all endurance tests to resist the effects of disease, and then the additional tag skill.
Okay,
I can also work with you to determine what sort of experiment took place in my vault.
Yeah.
And once per quest, you may introduce a complication which reflects the nature of this experiment. If you do so, I immediately gain a point of luck.
Yeah, so like as you already know, Ash, like all the vaults had some sort of weird experiment done with them. So like that complication could be like every once in a while you were exposed to a virus that makes you just like grow hair with it, like grow like a bunch of hair over your body or at a random point in your body every like I don't know day. It's like if it takes 5 seconds and you just have like a poof of hair. that comes out. So, but you can just pull it off or something. Like that could be a complication. Like I'm just making that off the top of my head. Like, oh no, I exposed to a virus that makes me grow hair really quickly. So, something like
What if this might be dark, but what if it was like some prestige shit where I get randomly cloned and my original me drops dead?
Cool.
That would be dark. It'd be
And you're
kinda
like
cool.
being tracked, so as soon as you die, it's just the fresh clone.
I don't know.
That'd be pretty difficult. That'd be difficult for us to role play with. Is every so often you just die? Like, are we expected to then go find you somewhere?
I don't know. I guess I was kind of thinking it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just spitballing. Yes, and
Yeah, no, I think we can work with that. Maybe like you're normally not supposed to know that you're a clone. You're supposed to just get your assignment to go into the wasteland. But like but when this specific clone stepped foot out of the shelter, you found your dead clone like immediately. So you're like, oh shit, I'm a clone.
or what if I'm the original and that was the clone?
Oh, that could be it.
What if I never know? It's okay. We'll workshop it. We'll think about it.
We're workshopping it.
We'll workshop it. It might be nothing like that at all because that might be difficult for everybody.
We'll figure it out. Dalton, what kind of traits do you get as a ghoul?
Ghouls, very, very kindly, have been so irradiated to the point that it doesn't hurt them anymore. It actually heals them. So trait that comes in handy, living in an irradiated wasteland. I don't need to worry about drinking bad water or stumbling into like some weird, like blown up reactor or something. I get to it makes me feel better. It fixes me a little bit. I'm also very good at survival. It's like a tag skill, which is kind of like a proficiency type thing.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because I look like a disgusting, horrifying creature, regular humans,
Smooth skins,
might make my life a little bit more difficult. It makes like it's up to the DM, but he can make NPCs racist at me, make charisma checks harder. I can face like some amount of discrimination about like maybe like getting into a village or like settlement of smooth skins. Like they may be like, we don't let ghouls here.
They might just shoot you.
Yeah, they might just shoot me on sight. Yeah. I also, what else? I can't have kids. I'm sterile. That's unfortunate. But I also live long. I think like some ghouls even like are from like the original like Great War like bombing. Some of them have like survived that long. So that's kind of like back, so I can either choose to like have been a ghoul this whole time since the war and like remember it, or maybe like I was in a vault that didn't seal properly and radiation seeped in, or maybe I was just like born out in the wastes and got ghouled just over time, just from like long exposure.
Speaking of that, the vault being radiation linked, at the bottom of page 57 at Vault Dweller, it does give a optional like ghoul Vault Dweller kind of thing, so you can kind of mix the two if you wanted to, which is sweet. So. Dan, did you decide what your origin was?
Yeah, super mutant.
Oh, okay. What's special about them? What's their trait?
Forced evolution, so initial endurance too already. And not only that, but your max like stat goes up to 12 instead of 10. So you can have like a strength of 12, which is awesome. But the problem is your max intelligence and charisma can only be 6. So you can never have higher than a 6 intelligence or charisma. And you cannot have any more than 4 ranks in any skill. But you're also immune to radiation and poison damage.
Immune.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you can only wear armor which has been made to fit a super mutant.
pretty cool.
Because of your
That's
huge muscles.
You stand over 7 feet tall and your body is bulky and muscular. Your skin is green, yellow, or gray, regardless of what color it was when you were human. You do not seem to age, but you are sterile.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. Well, perfect. So yeah, make sure on your character sheets you're just recording these traits under your second page and everything. You're going to put your perks in there too when we start getting those. But a lot of those things, like for example, Ashley, you getting that extra tag skill of your choice, you don't necessarily have to assign that right now because we're about to start doing attributes and all that. But keep that in mind that you get that extra one, and I'll explain tag more in detail after we start like putting stuff out and putting stuff together. So. Steph, yeah, go ahead, Ash. Did you have a question?
I was just gonna say, can I just have my experiment be that that there's like a bunch of me? There's a bunch of clones, and I don't necessarily know that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the complications from that could be like maybe you get like you
run
like you
into one.
Yeah, you run into one and have an existential crisis. Oh, that'd be cool.
twinsies.
Oh, so next up we have step number 2. This is at the top of page 58. So you guys get to choose. You increase your special attributes. So this is pretty cool. We'll kind of go through this. So each attribute starts with a rank of 5, unless your origin step 1 alters this. So like Dan has to keep in mind he can only go to a maximum of 6 for charisma and intelligence. But you have 5 points to spend to increase your attributes, and each point increases a single attribute by 1. So it's basically a point buy. No attribute can increase by above 10, although like we said, Origin can alter this and stuff like that. And you may also reduce a special attribute to 4 to gain a point to spend another attribute. And where this kind of becomes important is if you look directly to the right of that, the little box, special attribute arrays, it gives you an example of like different things, much like in D&D, of like just like a general array you can use. So like they have a balance, a focus, and a specialized. You can see balance is like mostly sixes with a couple 5s. Focus has like an 8 and a 7, and then kind of goes down to a couple 4s, and then specialized has like 1 9 attribute, and then like the rest kind of goes down. So yeah.
Question. With the super mutant, it says initial +2. So theoretically, my strength and endurance would be 7. Everything else would be 5. It wouldn't be like if I pick specialized and I put 9 strength and then it had +2 would be 11. It wouldn't work that way because the points, it's more expensive per level, right? Or
no, I don't think so.
No. Okay, so I could have an 11 strength.
I think so.
Yeah.
12 strength. I'm gonna do that.
You can, because as a super mutant, your max is 12 for both of those. Yeah. Because normally, like we said, normally it's only to 10, but you can increase your strength and endurance up to 12 because you're a super mutant, which is really strong. And if you looked under the strength bonuses for like melee weapons, like you get +3 extra dice for like an 11 plus strength, I believe. So, which is pretty good. But yeah, like we were saying before, with the special attributes, it's good to kind of keep in mind what kind of skills you may want and what things you might want to be good at when you're assigning these. So you can make it so you're pretty well balanced between a lot of your different stuff. But say you really want to be good at like big guns, then you got to put points in endurance. But if you want to be good at like, is it small guns? Not small guns. What is like pistols and stuff like that? It is? Okay, then that is agility, I believe. So it's good to kind of keep that in mind when you're kind of like assigning all these kinds of different things. Does anybody kind of already start to have ideas of what kind of character archetype they want to do or anything they want to specialize in?
I want to do man and big. Yeah. That's what
Perfect.
Super mutant. I've already named my character too. So
Nice. It's like the last thing I do. I mean, I was thinking like small arms, like pistols and stuff. So probably put points in agility. And I love playing in games that let me playing characters with a lot of luck. I like having that, so I'll probably focus there, especially since we have a big guy. I don't need to put too many points into strength, I don't think. And my charisma is already going to be bad anyway, because everybody is repulsed by my horrifying face.
yeah, so you're gonna have to be the face of the group.
Oh no, I am. Everybody's ugly.
You're literally gonna be
Charisma, so I should probably.
like, I just want you guys to know that in the Fallout universe, if there was a group of like of someone in a Vault Dweller suit rolling up with a ghoul and a super mutant with them, like everyone would be like, "What in the is going on?" Like,
What are these? Yeah.
like that doesn't. Maybe like a Vault Dweller. I mean, seeing a Vault Dweller in and of itself out in the wasteland is rare, like pretty rare. So that's already like a WTF moment. But seeing, I mean, and then seeing like a human and a ghoul together, totally like possible, right? Like that's totally possible. But add a super mutant into that trio, and then things get like even another level of super weird. You know, like how. Like these are not groups that commingle typically.
Yeah. It's important to know too, as you guys are thinking about your backstories and kind of coming up with like stuff, you guys don't know each other at the beginning of this adventure. It starts kind of in media res as all three of you, because we're playing the starter set adventure, which is 3 different adventures. We're gonna start out in the first one, which is investigating a vault. So all 3 of you are outside of this vault, kind of like pointing guns at each other in a standoff. So that's how you guys kind of first meet each other. You guys shouldn't know each other from the beginning, but it's kind of good to kind of keep that in mind, that this will be your kind of call to action to bring you into this. So,
All right, I've got my special stats. I went focused. I put my highest number in agility, my second highest number in endurance, and I am dumping perception and charisma, because if people are going to be racist to me, I don't want to notice.
Fair enough.
I don't see it. How's your character looking, Ash?
I also did focused. I put my 8 into perception. I thought explosives sounded fun, and so did energy weapons. So, and then I also put my second highest in intelligence, because that seemed useful to me. And then I am dumping both agility and strength. And I feel like that would kind of fit with someone who has been in a vault. Why would I have to be strong or agile when everything is brought to me?
You haven't been
I've had a
trained for
fairly soft life.
Guys, hold on. I'm looking through the perks.
Yes.
Dog meat. You can get dog meat. The dog.
Yes,
you can. One of the perks, you can have the dog companion.
The dog. You can. Yes. I know. They give a whole little stat block for him too, and everything. It's amazing.
You have to have charisma 5.
Did you dump charisma?
I dumped perception, charisma, and intelligence.
Dan, we don't want you to Lenny the dog.
Taking Dan's character out. Just look in the distance. Just look out there.
Just look out there, big guy.
Look
Wait to tend the rabbits, George.
We're gonna get you those rabbits.
We're gonna get you
For
that
anyone
dog.
wondering, that is based off of the book Of Mice and Men.
Oh man. Oh, that's great. So, next up, step 3 is tag skills and buy skill ranks. I know Dan's starting to look forward into perks, but that is perfect. So basically at the bottom of page 58, this is a good time to talk about what are tag skills. What does this mean? Because it asks you to just start choosing 3 skills to be your tag skills. If you notice on your character sheet, there is a portion on the first page where your skills are that you can have a tag, where you can kind of like make an X or a check mark and you can have a tag skill. What a tag skill is I described what you're rolling for is you're adding these attributes with your skills together and you're trying to hit a target number under that for success. So the game really is based on difficulties of meeting a certain amount of successes to pass the skill test. And it can be anything from a 0 skill test, meaning you don't have to get any successes, all the way to a 5. But even if you get over that, you get action points, which allows you to add more dice to your rolls and stuff like that, like I briefly mentioned earlier. So it's good to get a lot of successes. And the reason why tags are important to that is when you make a skill roll and you roll your tag number or lower, you get 2 successes instead of just 1. Think of it kind of like a critical success. Like even if your skill is just a 1, you would still get 2 successes on that 1. If it's a 3 and under, if you roll a 3 or under on your 2d20 roll, that's 2 successes automatically from that 1 dice. So that's why tag skills are really important, and probably better to put it into stuff that you want to be especially good at. Each one of you should choose 3 skills to be your tag skills. Actually, you get an additional one for free, whatever you want to choose. And Dalton, you get one specifically for, is it endurance, we said?
I get survival for free.
Survival, that's what it is. Okay, so yeah, go ahead and choose 3 skills to be your tag skills. It does explain right there, when you use a tag skill, you score critical success on any die which rolls equal to or under the skill's rank. But also, each of those tag skills you just filled in begin at rank 2. So each of those tag skills, go ahead and write a 2 next to it, but you might increase it here in a second. Every other skill just begins at 0, but your tag skills just automatically begin at 2. You then can buy ranks into your other skills. You have a total number of skill points equal to 9 plus your intelligence, like Dalton mentioned before. So whatever your intelligence is, make sure you add that to the 9. You're going to be distributing that among your skills. Let's see here. You can spend each skill point to buy 1 rank in any skill. You cannot increase any skill to a rank above 3. So 3 is the max you can get to for that specific skill, unless you're creating a character level 3 or above. So that's another thing. But since it's a character creation for our level 1 characters, you have a maximum of 3 for your skills that you can do. Later levels, like when you get a level up and stuff like that, you get to increase a skill. Your maximum is actually 6. So that's going to be something later on you can do. But for right now, at character creation, you can only do up to 3 when you're distributing those points. So just make sure you're distributing those points right now. So does that make sense? Yeah, go ahead.
I do have a question about that. So
yeah.
With these tag skills starting at rank 2, is that excluded from the points that we get to put into them?
I believe so. From my understanding, yes, it is excluded.
That's how I read it. Like when you pick a tag skill, it automatically gets to be rank 2.
Yeah.
Like for free.
Yeah, and that's separate from the additional points you buy.
Yes.
And there's no reason to save any of them like there was in Cyberpunk, right?
Not from my understanding, no. You definitely want to just spread them out. Even if you are maxing out like to 3 with different skills, it's good to just put those points into other stuff that you kind of want to be good at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys think? I get survival for free. I know I want small guns and sneak. but I don't know what I should do for my last one. Kind of waiting to hear what you guys pick. So less overlap.
I tagged explosives, pilot, science, and speech.
I tagged athletics, big guns, and melee weapon.
Yeah.
Nice. In that case, I think I'm gonna do barter. Yeah. I'm gonna
Using
pick-
that charisma somehow.
Yes, that's fine.
Perfect. Well, as you guys are choosing that, I'll go ahead and, because the next step 4 is going to be perks. And this is a big section, you know? It can be kind of overwhelming. I think we alluded to this before. While there's a lot of skills, there's even more perks. Like, this starts on page 59 and goes all the way to page 73. There's a lot of perks. And the main thing you kind of want to look through when you're looking at perks is what you kind of want to excel at or be better at. But the other thing to take note of is there are ranks you can take within it. So you can take a perk multiple times to rank it up. That's why in your character sheet, when you go to page 2, you can see that there's a rank for your skill, or sorry, for your perk. And a lot of ranks are only rank 1. So let's take a look at the first perk, Action Boy / Girl. So it's a rank 1, means that you can only take it once, and the requirements are none. So anybody can take this at any point in time. And what Action Boy / Girl does for you is when you spend action points, meaning in that pool of dice that you have, when you spend one of those dice to add an extra dice to your roll, so you don't just have 2d20, you can have like 3 or 4. To take an additional action, when you spend AP to take an additional major action, you do not suffer the increased skill test difficulty during your second action. So this is specifically around combat. You can take like major actions and minor actions, and certain things that if you want to take more actions on your turn, you can spend your action points to do that. But oftentimes incurring like a higher difficulty to do so. So basically this perk is really helpful, meaning if you want to do a lot on your turn, this allows you to do it without a penalty, which is pretty great. But if we look at the very next one, Adamantium Skeleton, it has ranks 3, so it means you can put 3 different perks. You can take this 3 different times to rank it up to level 3. And it has a requirement, though. Your requirement is your endurance has to be 7, and you have to be level 1 or higher. So, essentially, what Adamantium Skeleton does is when you suffer damage, the amount of damage needed to inflict a critical hit on you increases by your rank in this perk. For example, if you have 1 rank in this perk, you suffer a critical hit from 6 or more damage rather than 5 or more. Each time you take this perk, the level requirement increases by 3. So what this means is, essentially, we'll get more into combat later, but you can actually inflict injuries on different body parts. Just like the game, you can actually aim for specific body parts. We did this in Cyberpunk as well. And as a part of that, if you do 5 or more damage to a body part, it actually affects that body part by giving you an injury. If you have something in your hand, you drop it. There's a lot of other things that happen with that. So basically, this just makes it harder for you to suffer an injury from damage, which depends on how many dice your enemies are kind of rolling and stuff. But hey, there's a lot here. Let's go ahead, if everybody's okay with that, let's take like a short break so everybody can kind of parse through all these different perks and everything. And we can kind of come back and talk about what kind of perks that everybody else got in more detail. Does that sound good for everybody?
Works for me.
We start with 1. Is that correct? 1 perk?
Just 1. Just pick 1. Yep.
Oh my god, there's so many.
I know. You could pick dog meat, maybe. Do you have the requirements?
I don't know. Maybe.
Dog meat is on page. Where's the end?
The 6.
Yeah. There you go.
If you kill my dog, though, I'm quitting. I'm not playing anymore.
Lenny's the dog. But yeah, so let's go ahead. Let's take a quick break. Everybody at home, we'll be back in a quick 10 minutes or so. We're gonna take a look at these perks. We'll come right back. We're gonna finish making our characters. So stay tuned. We'll see you guys soon. Okay.
Right.
Hey everybody! Welcome back to the ABCs of RPGs, where we teach you the basics of tabletop role-playing games. My name is Spencer, I am the Game Master for the evening, and you are joining us right in the middle of the Fallout tabletop role-playing game. I am, of course, joined by my players, Dalton.
Hello, everybody. My name's Dalton. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm building a greaser ghoul type guy. I haven't decided what kind of hair. I might wear a toupee, but be super insecure about it because the radiation caused me to lose my hair.
I love that.
I think that might be what I end up doing with that one.
That's amazing.
Dan, you want to introduce yourself?
What up? What up? I'm Dan. By he, him pronouns as well. I am super mutant. I've named him. Do you guys want to hear them?
Yeah.
Yes.
His name is Wham Bam.
Nice.
I love it.
Yes, thank you.
Now, did he choose that name for himself or was it given to him?
Still to be determined.
To be determined. Fair enough.
Is his last name Thank You, ma'am?
I was thinking.
Sorry.
I stole my thunder there.
No!
I was gonna do a bit where someone was like, "Wham Bam," and I was gonna turn around and be like, "Oh, thank you, Bam," or something like that.
That can still be the bit.
You
that
still can.
Well, I've described the bit, so I don't know if it.
Everybody knows that bits get funnier when you explain them.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
You have to commit. Just commit.
All right. We'll experiment with this. So, but yeah, so that is Wham Bam. Thank you, Bam. Ashley, up to you.
Hi, my name's Ashley. I use she, her pronouns. This is one of my first exposures to Fallout, along with some trailers and things like that I talked about. And Gary, his name is Gary. That's the vault full of all the one person. So I figured that out. I'm creating a vault dweller. So that's been pretty cool. And there's so many perks to pick from, but I might take dog meat. I might have a dog.
That's awesome. Yeah, before we get into perks, we have Mike asking a question for Wham Bam. He says, was this his name before or after being a mutant?
I think that's what you did.
Wham Bam?
Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading. What was the question?
Mike asked, was Wham Bam his name before or after being a mutant?
After. So traditionally, super mutants are kind of reborn, I guess, because they lose a lot of their humanity. They're very much, I mean, not all, right? There are some super mutants, in New Vegas, there's one that turns into a scientist, and you have to go see him. And there's different examples of superhumans retaining some of that, but for the most part, most superhumans are super mutants. They're very much reborn new people. And if I remember right, they tend to, their naming convention is typically based off of onomatopoeia.
Oh, really? That would make sense.
That they hear.
Yeah. They're that metal rail, or that metal girder I used to whack a guy did a dong. My name is Dong.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So he has a board, right? He has a two-handed board that he uses, wham, and he also makes things go boom. But that doesn't rhyme with wham. So his name was Wham Bam.
Wham Bam. Yeah. I love it. Oh,
He doesn't remember how he was named Wham Bam. He just knows that he's always been named Wham Bam.
well, Dr. Squiggums also said, now the real question is that if anyone in the group can pull past this run or not. And I have a feeling that Wham Bam will not be able to pull it off.
I don't think Wham Bam is the character. I don't think that's what we're going for with the character.
No, Wham Bam.
I think if anything, it's probably gonna look more like, when you save and then go ahead and start shooting everybody in the town.
Yeah, quick save, real quick.
Yeah,
Quick save.
yeah. Just I gotta get this out of the way. I gotta do this mass murder, and then you load back in. And you're like, all right, I didn't kill
Quick
you.
load. I had to get that out.
Yeah. It's gonna look a little bit closer to that than a full pacifist run. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to make promises.
Oh, well, let's get back into it. So each of you picked out a perk, right? Because you only get one at level 1. Can everybody tell me kind of about their different perks and what they decided to go with? Dalton, you want to start us off?
Sure, I can start us off. I think I'm gonna pick Light Step. It when I roll and generate any complications on like an ability, on an agility-based skill test, I get to ignore one complication for every action point I spend, and I can also re-roll 1d20 on any agility athletics tests to avoid like triggering traps or pressure plates or anything like that. So it'll help
That's
me
pretty
like
cool.
sneak into places, avoid traps, not trip over my feet, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. What a cool first perk. Dan, were you about to say yours as well?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, did anyone pick one yet?
Oh.
So I was bouncing back and forth between two different perks. The one that I was actually 3 different perks. So one was Slayer, one was Big Leagues, and one is Pain Train. I think between the 3, I am going to pick Pain Train because so essentially what it lets you do is you can charge as a major action if you are wearing power armor or are a super mutant. So it's a movement, and you can't use move or sprint like on the same turn as a minor action. But what it lets you do is make a strength plus athletics test with a difficulty, like a set difficulty of 2. My strength is 12. My athletics is like a tag skill, so it's going to be high. So that'll be a 15 going against a difficulty 2. What that essentially does is lets me knock people prone, and they take damage equal to my unarmed damage, which is pretty high as well because I am in strong man, strong boy, right? So the cool thing is that I'm not seeing any restrictions on usage, how many times. So like I could basically just page rate, like just keep charging and knock people down every turn, as long as they're within range.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's perfect. Oh man. Okay,
Ashley,
Ash.
You pick your skill?
I think I'm gonna do dog meat. I want a dog. So the one thing I was wondering is, are animals, can they become ghouls or mutated also?
Yeah, there are definitely mutated creatures in the wasteland. I'm not sure if
that's more of the result of like mutated evolution.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have like giant mole rats, you have like crabs that basically grew legs, and what are they called? I can't remember. I can't remember what they're called. I mean, you've got like death claws, which are basically just like mutated lizards that like became like super dangerous. But there are still like dogs in the universe. There are like some wild dogs that are a little bit more mutated and vicious. But I think that's more the result of a texture layer. Like canonically, there are some like German shepherds and you know different dogs.
Ashley, I
The
think
closest. Yeah, go ahead, Dalton.
I think if you want your dog to look kind of fucked up, it can look kind of fucked up.
Yeah, I want my dog to look kind of fucked up. I was debating on how to flavor it. I was debating on flavoring it as like it was a ghoul dog, or do I flavor it as it just has mange, and I don't know that.
One of the things too is that there are things called mutated hounds, which are dogs infected by the FEV. The same thing what made Dan a super mutant. Wade Dan a super mutant
dogs.
Yeah, so there are super mutant dogs if you want that too.
Sounds good. Would it be reasonable to flavor it as that? Or should I just flavor it as a dog with mange?
It's up to you. I think that's the beauty of playing a tabletop role-playing game, right? Is we get to make up whatever we want.
I'll flavor it as a super mutant hound.
Yeah. That sounds great. Perfect.
But it's small. It looks like a beagle.
Yeah.
But like mutated.
Yeah. So it's like a very buff beagle, just like
yes, so muscular. But also, its hair is like falling out in places for sure.
Oh, that's perfect. All right, with your perks picked and you've written it down on your second page of your character sheet, we're going to go into derived statistics. Same stuff we discussed before. This is all going to be like statistics that are like on your character sheet that you're just kind of filling out with like based on your current attributes, your special attributes. So like there's your carry weight, which is just your strength times 10 plus 150. 150 plus your strength times 10. There's your damage resistance, which most of you should be 0, except Dan has immunity to radiation and poison damage. Yeah, so defense, this should be one of the bubbles on your character sheet. If your agility is 8 or less, your defense is just 1. But if your agility is 9 or higher, your defense is 2. What that means is that the 1 or the 2 is how many successes an enemy needs to get in order to make a hit you. So that's what that means. Initiative is adding your perception plus your agility together. That's what your initiative is. And then your health points is your endurance plus your luck added together. And then, of course, melee damage also factors into that. This is just another one of those things again. 7 to 8, you get +1 extra dice when rolling melee damage. 9 to 10, you get 2 extra. And Dan, I think yours is 11 plus, so you get +3 of those dice, don't you?
I'd have to double check, but
yeah, so that's what all these derived statistics are. Do you guys have any questions about those derived statistics before we kind of move on to equipment?
No.
Might have a comment, and that's just that we're using Roll20 right now, and they have character sheets for Fallout, and it looks like it calculates those things automatically for you based on your stats, and that's really cool. So, like, my initiative auto-populated as 12, and that's perception and agility, correct?
Yes.
And then max HP, it auto-populated as 11, which is the endurance and luck. So I thought that was cool. Looks like it.
That is cool.
Does it for you.
That's awesome. Okay, perfect. Well, next up, if we're all good about that, we're going to the last step. We're on step 6, which is choosing equipment. Now, this is going to be based on your origin. You're going to get different stuff based on your origin, but the important thing to note is that you get to choose one of the following like equipment packs based on your origin. Like nobody chose Brotherhood of Steel, but you could be a Brotherhood of Steel Initiate or a Brotherhood of Steel Scribe, and you get different equipment based on each of those. For example, the Super Mutant can be a Brute one, or a skirmisher one. You get different equipment based on which one you kind of choose. Vault Dweller, you can be a resident, or you can be Vault-Tec Security. So you get to choose kind of between those two different things to kind of go out. And Ashley, I know that we're kind of building your backstory as you're a clone set into the wild, but if you chose Vault-Tec Security, one of the things could be like they equipped you to go face the wilds before you went out into the wasteland or something like that. So there's a ton of different stuff. Definitely go to whatever your origin is and kind of look through that. A few important things to note as you're kind of like looking through the different things that you can choose for equipment and what you get. There is a table after that on page 80. After all of those, there's a trinket table. So if your background does give you a trinket, you get to roll a d20 and see what kind of trinket you get. And also, for whatever skills that you have tags in, you do get extra items in it. So that's starting on page 81. For example, athletics, you get some casual clothing and 1 buff out. And if you have barter, then you get 2d20 additional caps. So it's just little things that kind of correlate to the different skills that you've done a tag in. So you get extra kind of stuff. Most of it's just kind of like ammo, like extra ammo, or like some extra drugs that you might have access to. But it's just nice little extra things that can probably use just from like being extra good in that skill. So those are going to be like the main things you're kind of choosing. Then there's a whole thing about starter equipment at higher levels. We're not really going to bother with that because we're not starting at a higher level. We're just starting out at level 1. So we're kind of good. But yeah, so that's kind of everything you can kind of do. So just kind of take notes of all of that. Do you guys have any questions about that? Or do you know what kind of like origin equipment set that you guys are going to choose?
What's a Pip-Boy?
Ooh, great question. So imagine a Pip-Boy is like a little personal computer you have on your wrist.
Cool.
Yeah. In game, it is your pause menu, kind of. It is you do like little organization for your inventory. You can look in the map on your Pip-Boy. There's the VATS. It's VATS called, right? That's what it's called, where you kind of zoom in on like different body parts and stuff. That's like what you use the Pip-Boy to do and stuff like that. So, but just think of it as like a little personal computer.
Awesome. And then
Yeah.
what's a stim pack?
A stim pack, that's going to be used for healing. So stim packs are the main thing that you use whenever you heal. This is going to be more important when you get to combat, but a stim pack can not only heal you, but if a person is downed, a stim pack can kind of like bring them up. It's like a healing potion. You can kind of think of it like that. So
And then I think you mentioned something about caps before. What are caps?
caps is money.
Money. Okay.
Yep. So in the Fallout universe, they've decided that money, the paper money, doesn't mean anything anymore. But bottle caps survived the war. They sure count as money now. So
That's fair.
yep. So that's what people use as currency now, is bottle caps.
Cool.
But yeah, do you guys have any additional questions about that?
Hey,
Or how's your-
actually, can we bounce back? Because I think my sheet may have messed. Make sure I melee bonus here.
Sorry, you kind of cut out there. You said, can we bounce back to something?
Can we bounce back to the derived statistics real quick? My
Yeah.
sheet kind of messed up. So it doesn't look like it pulled in my +3 modifier for having the endurance or the strength that I do.
Okay, yeah.
in melee. So would my melee bonus be, right now it's saying it's just a 6 with a modifier of 0, right? If I put the +3 modifier in there, it doesn't really change anything.
Well, so what is your strength score?
12.
12. Okay, yeah. So basically, for its melee damage. So you're not making it on the skill roll. This works very similar to D&D, where you first make a roll to attack, and you always do the 2d20, and you're going for the number calculated by what melee attacks use, which I think is strength plus melee weapons, I think, is what it uses. So that's kind of like the target number you're going off of, but then you roll for damage. So the melee damage bonus is like whatever you'd be rolling dice-wise, which whatever melee weapon you have, it should have like a number of like something, and it has like a little Pip-Boy like thing next to it. That just means it's a d6. So however many total you normally get, you actually add 3 more because you have such strong strength from being a super.
So I would have. So it said melee bonus 6. So what I'd really have would be like 9 then.
What weapon are you using?
A board. It's a 2-handed melee.
Okay, I'll look up what a board does normally, because I am not sure. So let me look that up real quick. Under equipment, let's see here. Melee weapons start on page 111. Okay, and the board. Oh gosh, these are not these are not in alphabetical order.
It's got a damage rating of 4.
Yes, so it has 4. It has 4 little, and then it has a little Pip-Boy head. So that means normally you'd roll 4 damage dice, 4d6s. But because you have a 12 plus strength, you get plus 3 to that. So you'll be rolling 7 damage dice instead of just your 4. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, kind of. I'm just still worried that like my sheet is like messed up.
Okay. Well, we can definitely take a look.
We can look at it later. It's fine.
Yeah, not sure what's going on, but we'll figure it out. But do you need me to go over any of the derived statistics again, just to kind of go through that?
No, that was just the one that I would. No, we can move on. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. Yeah. So, with that, your characters should be all good. Does everybody have kind of like their equipment picked out? And did anybody have to roll a d20 for their trinkets?
I picked the Wanderer gear. I'm getting it all entered in. I do get a personal trinket. I haven't rolled on the table yet. I think, so what I might do is I get a switchblade, right? As part of being a Wanderer. I also want an identical switchblade comb. I want them to look exactly the same.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
That's pretty awesome.
I guess the one thing I was wondering is, like you get this set of equipment. I'm probably just going to do the Vault Tech Resident, but for example, like when you're entering stuff in under clothing, like I enter a Vault jumpsuit, like how do I know how much it weighs?
There's tables for it later in the book.
We can look up all those numbers later, but there's a whole chapter dedicated to equipment. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
Something that we're probably not going to get too detailed into, but something that's important to note is that just like in Fallout 4, there is a ton of crafting. Everything can be broken down into materials, and then you can use the materials to like craft other stuff. And the really cool thing about the Fallout Tabletop RPG is that it provides detailed instructions on how to do all of that. You can make weapon mods, you can make equipment, you can make all sorts of different stuff. Some of them require you to have different perks in order to do that. And it does have tables to kind of show you what you need in order to make what. But that's why like you'll kind of discover it provides a very detailed way of how to search buildings and get like a bunch of like items whenever you're looting stuff that you can use and then turn into just basically craft into other things. There's a lot of detailed rules about that. We're probably not going to get that far into it because we're only doing like the first kind of quest. But it is something to note that for extended play, there's a lot of rules into that and a lot of different things. But we can look up weight and stuff like that later. To be honest, we're not going to be playing that long, and I don't think you're going to have enough time to really gather so much stuff. You'll be over encumbered. Personally, whenever I play D&D, I usually ignore. I usually give a bag of holding just so we don't have to worry about weight and carrying capacity. But I will say this is a game that does focus on that because the video game does that. The video game does that, so they've very extensively made rules to follow that into the game, which is very cool that they do that. But can be overwhelming if you're just starting up the game. So that's why we're just focusing on the minor parts rather than those kind of like later stuff right now. So don't worry about that too much right now, Ash.
Sounds good.
A fun thing too, I just read, your personal trinket, once per quest outside of combat, you can have your character spend a few moments looking at the trinket, thinking about what it means to them. If you do, you regain 1 luck point. And I think that's neat.
That is neat. Spencer, remind me, what is the Pip-Boy symbol? It's not just a straight D6, right? It maps to stuff. It is? It's just a D6?
It's just a D6. Yeah, we'll get. We'll don't worry too much about this. We can go in more detail with combat. But basically, what it means is that if you're rolling a normal D6, because they sell these special Pip-Boy D6s, so like the symbols like represent like how they are supposed to look on a normal D6. But if you just have normal D6, a 1 means you do 1 damage. A 2 means you do 2 damage. A 3 and a 4 means no damage done. And then a 5/6 is 1 damage plus your weapon's effect, if they do an effect. Which is usually like we talked about, I think we talked about like vicious earlier, like a vicious weapon trait and stuff like that. Different weapons will have different traits, and there's a lot of them. But if your weapon does an effect, a 5 and a 6 does 1 damage plus that effect, which is pretty neat. So.
Okay, so just like in the context of like this equipment, I have to roll for how much ammunition I start with.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I'm guessing when it says 8 plus 4 Pip-Boy symbols, that's just 8 plus 4 straight D6, or is there some mapping that I have to do?
Rules. That's like in combat.
Okay.
I can go to equipment real quick and double check, but let's see here. Let's see here. Trade vendor. No, that's trade vendor. Well, that's something I can look up later and kind of get back to you on, but...
Too late. I've given myself 27.
All right. I mean, that makes sense. Like, ammo, like that's not like an overwhelming amount of ammo. That to me makes sense if you're just rolling a straight D6.
You never know.
Yeah. I don't know, but if you are only playing with like the dice, would you only get like 1 or 2 per dice instead?
That's what I would assume.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to get back to you on that. I didn't know about that. That they made you roll the Pip-Boy things for dice.
Do you know where it was saying that, Spencer? About like the mapping?
Well, let's see. Chapter 4 is equipment. With damage, that's more at the top. Let's see here. Combat. Let's see, that's action points. Starting at page. Let's see. Page 28. No, that is hit locations. Okay. Page 29 is where it has the combat dice results on there. But I don't think it says anything about rolling for ammo on there. So I wonder if
I mean, so based off of my understanding that these are like special dice that exist.
Yeah.
That have like a 1. Interesting.
Yeah, it's like a 1-shot, a 2-shot, 2 sides are blank, and then the other 2 sides are the Pip-Boy face.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, is it Pip-Boy or is it Vault Boy? Is that who he is? The little guy?
I don't know. Whatever it is, you're probably wrong about it.
Oh, okay.
So this damage is described as a number of combat dice.
Oh, he is Vault Boy.
Vault Boy.
He's Vault Boy. A little Vault Boy face on him. So that's what that means. But yeah, that's something I can definitely do more research on and kind of get back to.
Yeah.
Later. So I can definitely look that up and find out beginning of next session.
That's ridiculous. I need to know how much ammo I have for when we do our standoff.
Well, funny enough that you mentioned that. Normally this is where like I'd be like, okay, introduce yourselves. Let's kind of like figure out our backstory and stuff like that. But the thing is, we are playing the starter set adventure. Like I mentioned before, we are doing the very first quest called, well, it's normally called Into Vault 95, but I'm changing it because Vault 95 is an actual vault in Fallout 4, and instead this is going to be Vault 93. So I changed it a little bit just so it could be a new vault instead. So you guys are going to be starting out in kind of a standoff, but before we introduce our characters, let me go ahead and read this little prologue for our adventure, and then we're going to do a little bit of role-playing for how you guys kind of introduce yourselves. So let me get my narrator voice ready. Welcome to the Commonwealth, the nuclear-ravaged wastelands outside of Old Boston. You have each followed the sounds of screams and gunfire to Vault 93, a remnant of the world before the Great War, before the bombs dropped. The vault's external lights flicker several times but remain lit, and remarkably, its doors lie open, inviting any manner of scavenger or scoundrel to plumb its depths. It's a cold night, bone cold, and the sky is aglow with an eerie green light. That telltale light radiates from the region beyond the vault known as the glowing sea. A gust of fragile wind blows tumbleweeds across the small hill outside of the vault entrance. Each of you is standing in a circle, facing each other out there on the hillside. Strangers meeting for the first time. Each of you knows the vault promises valuable treasures from the old world, treasures most people in the Commonwealth would be willing to kill for. So that's where all of you are kind of like meeting right now, kind of staring each other down. Let's see here. I was trying to see. Okay. I start with 1 action point in my pool, and you guys start with no action points in your pool. So that's good to know. Or we'll go more into like action points and kind of stuff after we introduce our characters, but that's just something that's for my eyes. So okay. So while we go around and kind of can everybody kind of like one at a time introduce themselves, kind of like what their character's name is, what they kind of look like. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different questions to ask you after you kind of describe your character and introduce yourself. So, who would like to go first with kind of introducing their character?
So not to rain on your parade, Spencer, but I'm still filling stuff out. I don't know about the rest of you guys.
I can start if you want. I'm just doing stuff, or I don't know. What do you want to do? Do you want me to go?
Well, if everybody's still making their character, then we don't have to necessarily start out with this just yet. But I was gonna start doing that if people were ready to introduce their characters. But if Dalton's still filling stuff out, we can talk about other mechanics or any things that we need to do.
Can you explain, like, maybe we can talk about combat for a second, and because the little dice is confusing me.
Yeah.
Like the little like pip away like face dice like that. So
Yeah.
like you said, it's like D&D. So if I were to make a melee attack, right, I would roll strength plus melee weapons. So for me, that would be 12 plus 3, right? So
Yeah.
would that be like my number then? Or
Yeah, let's start with just kind of doing a basic skill test real quick. So let's say Dan, your super mutant Wham Bam, come across a large chasm, and he's like, "Ooh, I gotta jump this chasm. Gotta jump across it." I would be like, okay, let's take a look at the character sheet and see what kind of skill would make the most sense to use in this moment. So if we yes, so athletics, which is tied to strength. So what is your strength score and what is your athletic score?
12, 3.
Great. So essentially, I'm going to say the chasm is only maybe about, it's not super wide. It's only 10 feet, and you're a super giant. So I'm going to say the difficulty is 1 difficulty. So you only need 1 success in order to jump across this chasm. So you start off with 2 d20s just to start off the bat. And before you roll anything, you added your strength and your athletics together to get 15 in total, because it's 12 plus 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the good news. That means you need a 15 or lower to get 1 success.
Got it.
So yes. So you have 75% chance on both of those die that you roll to get at least 1 success.
Right.
So there are different things you can do. If you have some action points, you can buy extra d20s to like have more dice in the pool to kind of roll. But to be honest, you only need 1 success, and you have a 75% chance on both dice to roll. So
athletics is my tag skill. So if I were to hit, so technically if I hit both d20s, even if it wasn't a 1, let's say I got a 9 and a 10, right? Both of those would be below 15. But because it's my tag skill, that would count as 2 plus 2 successes. Because they would be both criticals.
Close. So you have the right thought process, but it's just the skill level, not the attribute as well. So it would be a 3 or under in order to be the critical success.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. I know that's a little confusing, but yeah.
I thought when it like in the tag skill it said like any success counts as a critical success.
That is what it says.
Let me double check.
Yeah, that's
what it says?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought, see, that's how Dune worked. And so that's why I thought, originally this is how it was going to be. But I thought I read somewhere that it was only equal to the skill level and not the attribute level. So you guys are saying that it does say, as long as it's under that, it counts as double successes?
As long as it's a success, it counts as a critical.
Oh, great. Okay, great. Then, yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
You score a critical success on any die which rolls equal to or under this. Well, on page 58. So where are you seeing this? Because on page 58 it says when using a tag skill, you score a critical success on any die which rolls equal to or under the skills rank.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which one are which are you saying? Where are you seeing yours?
Where was it? Because I saw it there on page 47, and it said the same thing that you said, Spencer.
Yeah.
Maybe I was looking at the like the starter set, like the other rule book when I was reading this.
It could be that way.
Yeah, sometimes stuff changes.
On page 14, it also says there's a critical success area as well that says if you're using a skill with one of your tag skills, then you'll score a critical success for any d20 that rolls equal to or less than your rating in that skill. For example,
honestly, that makes more sense.
Yeah, which is but I understand the confusion because in Dune it was like that. In Dune it was specifically anytime it's under that, if it matches, then it works. But it doesn't seem to be that way in Fallout, which I do find interesting. But
right. Okay, so if I were to do, so let's say it's like a melee skill test, right? So
yes.
Going to hit a mole rat with a board. So first I roll to hit. So this would be a strength plus melee weapons test. My strength is a 12. My melee weapons is a 3. So to hit the difficulty, or my skill to hit would be, the number I'm looking to hit is a 15.
Yeah.
What would you say is a difficulty rating for hitting a mole rat with a board?
Yeah, so let me see if I can pull that up, because how that works, so doing combat is a little bit different, whereas like where I was saying like I get to set the difficulty for that chasm and everything, a lot of those different enemies that you fight will have a set defense. So just like your character has a set defense, it's the same for everybody else. Right. So that defense number could be higher or lower, for meaning you need more like you need more successes or less successes to hit, depending on the range you're firing a weapon, or if you're but since you're in melee range, you shouldn't have any trouble with it. But I actually have the mole rat stat block pulled up on page 348, and its defense is only a 1. So in order to hit that mole rat, you only need 1 success to hit it.
Right. So 2d20s, I roll. 1 is, 10, 1's a 9. Okay, they're both 15. I got 2 successes. So I have now hit the mole rat.
Yes.
Now I go to do damage. So the roll for damage, so you're saying on that is based upon what the actual weapon is.
Correct.
So So for the board, the damage rating is 4. So would that I would roll 4d6s?
Plus 3 more d6s from your strength, because you have the extra thing with it. But yes.
Okay. So I would roll 7d6s.
Right.
And I would then look at the table, and that table, any ones that were like a 1, 2, 5, or 6 would have that effect, and any of the 3s and 4s would have no effect.
Yeah, so go ahead. Why don't you just go ahead and roll 7d6s? Let's kind of walk through this so we can kind of see what you kind of roll and everything. So.
Yeah.
And then I also got to see if your board has any effects that it has as well.
So I rolled
perfect
2 6s, 2 3s, 2 2s, and a 1.
Yeah. So that 1 is 1. So that 3, let's just start from left to right. The 3, 0 damage. The 2, that's 2 damage so far. The 6 is another damage plus a weapon effect. So let's go ahead and mark down that 1 weapon effect happens. Another 2, so that you're already at 5 damage, which is a critical, which is it inflicts an injury, which is great. Another 3, which doesn't add any damage. The 6, another damage plus another weapon effect, and then another 1. So right now, base 7 damage you're already doing to this mole rat. And you have 2 weapon effects. So let's go ahead and take a look at your weapon effects. The combat dice results table that I was using was on page 29. So let's go ahead and look at, I don't have the board pulled up right now, but let me find it real quick. Page 111, board, it's a physical, it's 2. It doesn't have any damage effect, so it just does the extra damage. So yeah, you would sink in after getting that 1 success, or you got 2 successes, so you do generate an action point that you guys have a pool of now. And you do 7 damage to it, and guess what? That mole rat only has 7 health, so you would crush and kill that mole rat from that 1 hit.
Damn.
Yeah. Which makes sense because like melee weapons should be doing a lot of damage. You are really strong as well, but you do have to close the distance. So if people are like shooting at you from afar, they might be able to hit you more before you get into melee range, but that's something that kind of happens. So, yeah. Does that make a little bit more sense combat-wise?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I'm just confused. My sheet says I have a melee bow 6, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, I don't know either. Maybe it's picking in the wrong thing or something like that. So, yeah. But, yeah. Ashley, do you have any questions about your character or combat or anything like that?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I think I'll just ask it as it comes up.
Okay, sounds good. Dalton, are you still filling stuff in?
I think I've got it all. I don't know how you guys filled it in so quick. There's a billion different things to enter. And they're all in different places in the book, in different tables.
Well, I left some things blank.
I refuse.
I just put all of the gear from my tag skills and the gear from my vault dweller resident.
No. Don't come crying to me when I get to use my 2 purified waters during our standoff. Because we didn't put it in. Yeah.
Mine comes in a Vault Tech branded canteen, thank you very much.
I also have doses of Jet and Calmex. But unfortunately, me being a ghoul, I apparently need to take double doses for them to do anything, and I only have 1 dose of each.
Bummer.
Oh, man.
I also have an iguana on a stick.
Yeah, that's food.
It says you.
Here's a question. What's a dose of mentats? I thought that was a Dune thing, and I thought that was a person.
It's a drug in Fallout.
Is it Adderall, basically?
Kind of.
But it's grape flavored.
I don't know the exact effect. We can look that up and everything. But the interesting thing is, in Fallout, you can get addicted to drugs. They help give you boosts, but you can get addicted. So,
Ashley, to answer your question, grape mentats reduce the difficulty of charisma tests by 2 to a minimum of 0, and you get to re-roll 1d20 on barter tests.
Cool. I'll pop my mentats when we have to go barter with someone, I guess.
yeah, you can do that in the game too, which is pretty awesome. Can you get addicted to anything?
Yeah, it looks like you can get addicted to a lot of stuff.
Oh, many chems are addictive. Yeah, page 164. It starts off with that. That's awesome.
It looks like everything besides like stim packs and rat away and like antibiotics.
That makes sense. Yeah, like all the healing stuff is like, no, it just heals you.
Yeah, but it looks like at the same time we also have a drug for that called Addictol that removes all addictions.
Can you get addicted to Addictol?
No, it says it's not addictive.
I love that so much. Okay, great. Okay, so how does everybody feel now about resuming that kind of standoff? Is everybody ready to kind of talk more about their characters and everything?
Sure.
I think so.
Cool. Dan, you too?
Bing bong.
Bing bong, wham bam, got it. So, with that, would you like me to read the little intro paragraph again, or do we want to kind of go ahead and start off with the standoff?
Intro paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Narrative voice. Welcome to the Commonwealth, the nuclear-ravaged wastelands outside of Old Boston. You have each followed the sounds of screams and gunfire to Vault 93, a remnant of the world before the Great War, before the bombs dropped. The vault's external lights flicker several times but remain lit, and remarkably, its doors lie open, inviting any manner of scavenger or scoundrel to plumb its depths. It's a cold night, bone cold, and the sky is aglow with an eerie green light. That telltale light radiates from the region beyond the vault known as the glowing sea. A gust of frigid wind blows tumbleweeds across the small hill outside of the vault entrance. Each of you is standing in a circle, facing each other there on the hillside, strangers meeting for the first time. Each of you knows the vault promises valuable treasures from the old world, treasures most people in the Commonwealth would be willing to kill for. So, each of you start with 0 in the action point pool, and I get 1. An important thing to know is that action points, you can use those action points to buy various things in the game. Most of the time, using it to add extra dice within kind of like the skill, whenever you're making a skill roll. The good thing to know is that it is a shared pool that all of you share. And you do have a maximum of 6 that you can have. So there is a max that you can reach. Me as the game master, I get my own pool of points that I get to use to increase difficulty and kind of do different things like that on the opposite end. And the important thing to know for that is that I can gain more depending on actions that you guys take. Like if you decide to give me more action points in order for you guys to get more dice to roll and everything, and kind of doing that. But the important thing to note is that if you ever score more successes than you need, you get action points. So you can bank that and then use it later to buff up things you're going to do. But that's like the quick of the action point kind of thing. So for now, let's go ahead and have you guys introduce yourselves. Let's do one at a time, kind of introduce yourselves. And after one of you have introduced yourself, I'm going to read a series of different questions I'm going to ask you. And just to help flesh out your characters and kind of add drama to it. So who would like to introduce their character first?
I can go first. GM, you decide.
Wham Bam.
My name Wham Bam. I like to collect postcards of the old world. This one here, and I'm holding up. Wham Bam is holding up a postcard of Mount Rushmore. This one here is my favorite. I really like their faces. Just showing like a couple different ones. Like here's Hawaii. I don't know. It says Hawaii. I think that's how you pronounce it. There's one that's Hawaii. Like all these different images. He's like holding up postcards. He's collect postcards. I'm here at the vault. I heard that I often find postcards in these places. It's a hobby. I don't really like talking very much, but I like hitting things with my board and blowing stuff up. I got some other super mutant friends, but I haven't been at camp in a while. I don't know why.
Yeah. Perfect.
That's Wham Bam.
Okay. The series of questions I have to ask you. Thank you, Dan, for introducing Wham Bam. The first one was actually, what does your character like to be called? But you've already answered that. The next question I'm going to ask you is, what is one moment from your past, from Wham Bam's past, when Wham Bam lost something important to him, and what did you lose?
Wham Bam lost his second favorite postcard, which was a postcard of Disney down in Florida. Wait, Disney World wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't have been. What was his favorite? It was a postcard of Hawaii. I lost the postcard of Hawaii when I was fighting some different things.
Ne'er-do-wells.
Just different thing. Mirelurks. I was fighting Mirelurks, the big crab things. Lost my favorite postcard. Now the Mount Rushmore postcard is my favorite postcard.
Disneyland was built in 1955. If you wanted it to be Disneyland.
I don't. Well, it's complicated
Okay.
because like I don't think like Walt Disney, like Mickey
Didn't
Mouse,
exist.
like they didn't exist.
Isn't Nuka-Cola like the stand-in? Isn't there Nuka-Cola Land or something?
There is a Nuka-Cola Land. Okay. Yes. He lost his postcard of Nuka-Cola Land.
Oh. Or
Very upset.
I think, yeah, that's so sad.
Mirelurk shredded it up, got it all wet. He still has the pieces, but it's it's not the same. The ink's blotted. It's not in mint condition at all. Can't sell it to other postcard collectors. It's not really a big market, but if one were to appear, couldn't sell it.
Oh. Well, going off of that, what is one moment from Wham Bam's past when he was pushed too far, and how did he react?
The Nuka-Cola postcard incident. It's pretty big in his central character. It's a very big moment in his character development. Wham Bam kind of just existed and was pretty automated. Just did his super mutant stuff. He's just a regular super mutant, but raiding, looting, that was just another day. Other super mutant buddies dying. That's just that happens, right? It's the wasteland.
Yeah.
But that incident with the postcard, that really got
that was a big moment.
So, yeah, it pushed. He not only killed all of the Mirelurks in that colony, but he took their eggs and made breakfast with their eggs.
Scrambled eggs in the morning.
And the one that ripped up his postcard, he like made it watch.
Like, look, I'm having a delicious breakfast right now with your children.
Yeah.
That's fair. Should have ripped up his postcard. How dare they?
Yeah.
All right, I got two more questions for Wham Bam. The first, well, actually, I have one more question for Wham Bam and one for everybody else afterwards. What does Wham Bam look like at this moment, and what is their demeanor? So you're standing out here in front of this vault, and what is kind of going on with Wham Bam right now?
Wham Bam, being a super mutant, is 7 feet tall. He is green. So, it's just a big old super mutant. He's got Raider torso armor and armor on his right leg. Other than that, doesn't really have much else for coverings. I think super mutants wear a loincloth and stuff like that. But, and, his demeanor is just pretty neutral, but probably looks very angry. Because he is a super mutant, so he looks probably incredibly angry.
Yeah.
But he's just like just here for my postcard.
Right. He's not angry, but he just looks it.
He's got RBF. Pretty bad.
Oh, perfect. Well, just to let everybody know, since you've described Wham Bam like that, I am adding a action point to my pool. So just letting everybody know, based on that description, I'm adding a action point to my GM pool.
What?
So
that's crazy.
Yep.
Already getting started here.
Yep. And by the way, as a follow-up, do any of the other player characters, Dalton and Ashley's character, do you, after hearing this description, move their aim to point a weapon at Wham Bam?
Has Wham Bam said anything yet?
No.
He's just staring there, angry.
I don't think so.
I don't think I'm gonna point anything at anyone yet.
Okay, cool. All right. Next up, Ashley or Dalton, would you like to introduce your character?
I can go next. So, I mean, should I be doing this like Dan did it in character as like an introduction, but we're not really like kindly introducing ourselves to each other, right?
Right. You're not really introducing yourselves. Well, I guess if you want that to be your character's kind of interaction with the group, I think that's perfectly fine. But you are kind of like in a standoff. You're just like all kind of like just ran into each other right outside this vault. So.
Okay. Well, I changed the wrong thing. My character's name is Shambles the Ghoul. What was the next question, Spencer?
Oh yeah. So, what is your character like to be called? So, does he just go by Shambles? Is this an alias, or what was did you have a original name, or do you not remember it?
I probably don't.
Is Shambles like...
It's been a while.
Okay. Cool. Then yeah, the next question would be, what is one moment from Shambles' past when they lost something important to them, and what did they lose?
Are you saying something about my hair, wise guy? Referring to the fact that like he lost his hair, and that's what like, just even you bringing it up.
Yeah, just
he automatically assumes that you're making fun of the fact that he doesn't have hair, and that is this about my toupee? Huh?
Perfect. So going off of that, what is one moment from Shambles' past when they when they were pushed too far, and how did they react?
I'll tell you what, last time some asshole said something about my do, I shivved him, and I put away the switchblade comb, and I take out an actual switchblade. I stabbed him.
You're like, your toupee with this clearly like the like silly comb like switch knife prop, and then you put it away and you're like, ah.
Yeah.
I'm getting big what's his name? Like, you think I'm crazy?
From Futurama.
Yeah, from Futurama. I'm getting like big Roberto vibes.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, next up. Well, I mean, you pulled out an actual knife. So what does Shambles look like at this moment, and what is their demeanor as they have this knife describing the story about shanking a guy for making fun of his toupee? Is that what it was?
Yeah. I'm playing with it. I've got like a really wide stance with really like wide leg pants, like really like extending like the A-frame. I've got like my hands deep in my pockets. I'm like got my chin turned up, like looking down, my eyes down at everybody. Yeah, I've got like an angry looking face, like a Japanese like biker punk kid.
Well, with that description, I will add yet another action point to my Game Master pool. And the last question I will ask is directed at everybody, now that Dalton has described the demeanor of Shambles the Ghoul. Do any of the other player characters move their aim to point a weapon at Shambles the Ghoul?
No.
No, still no.
I don't
no
have
weapon.
a weapon pointed at anyone yet, but I do take a Molotov cocktail out of my pocket subtly.
I just got at the ready. Okay, great. All right. Well, with that, Ashley, would you like to introduce your character now?
Yeah, my character is Blair Williams. to go with Shambles and Wham Bam. And she is a pretty generic late 20s, early 30s female appearing human, with brown hair and a tight bun, and yeah, she's a vault dweller. How much information do you want from this introduction?
That's perfectly fine from there. My first question is just going to be, what do they like to be known as? Do you go by like a nickname, or do you have an alias, or do you just go tell?
She tells people Blair. She doesn't usually introduce her last name, but she's just Blair. And then, if anybody kind of pays heed to her little dog companion, she gets kind of offended and is like, why are you staring at Charlene? She did nothing to you. Because Charlene's kind of ugly. She's like a really, really buff beagle with tufts of hair falling, like less hair, more skin, like just tufts of hair falling out.
I would imagine breathing loudly, like always.
Yeah, thinking it like think a bulldog. Yeah, but like a bulldog beagle buff snorty cross. She's not cute, but Blair thinks she is.
Oh, before I ask the next question, I forgot to clarify. Dan, is Wham Bam's pronouns he, him?
Wham Bam's pronouns are Wham Bam.
Okay, got it. Then he goes by Wham/Bam.
You call him Wham. Yeah, you call him Wham Bam. All right.
Dalton.
You ask him what his pronouns are, he's gonna ask. Yeah.
That's awesome. Dalton, what was Shambles' pronouns?
He, him.
Okay. And then what is Blair's pronouns then?
She, her is fine.
Perfect. Cool. I just wanted to make sure as I was reading, I was getting everything right. So perfect. Okay. So then next question for Blair is, what is one moment from Blair's past when she lost something important to her, and what did she lose?
Yeah, so that moment goes all the way back to kind of going into the vaults. She was the only one in her family who made it in time. So she lost her family. And she feels guilty because she rushed there at when, alarms were going off, and she did not stop at home to help her family get there. So that's something that she carries with her, and it's feeling fresh because she's kind of just thawed and woken up, even though who knows how long it's been since they've been dead at this point.
Yeah. Man. That's a tragic backstory, and I love it. Well, speaking of, next question kind of ties into it like the other ones. What is one moment from her past when she was pushed too far, and how did Blair react?
I would say that it had to do with poor little Charlene. She found Charlene when she first came out of the vaults like 2 weeks ago. And some kind of punk was throwing rocks at Charlene, and she intervened, and she was not about it, and she kind of punched him.
That's perfect.
And that's how she got Charlene.
Aw, a nice united cause. Well then, perfect. Well, what does Blair look like at this moment then, and what is their demeanor?
Yeah, Blair's wearing a vault tech suit, the blue and yellow dweller suit, but she's also got like a tattered lab coat on over top. was pristine 2 weeks ago, but all she has is this jumpsuit and this lab coat. So, you know, it's gotten dirty kind of just going around in the wastelands and being the only clothing that she's had for the past 2 weeks. And she's trying to put on kind of a tough, confident act. And she's kind of trying to do like a strong superwoman pose, and she does have her hand on a Molotov cocktail in her lab coat pocket. But she is very anxious. This is the first time she's ever seen a ghoul or a super mutant, and she has no idea if these things can even speak. So she's hoping maybe they don't see her, but she clearly knows they do.
Oh. Well then, yeah, and with that description of her what Blair looks like and her demeanor, does Wham Bam or Shambles the Ghoul move their aim to point a weapon at Blair?
I don't point a weapon at Blair, but I like offhanded like gesture with my knife at the dog. Is that fucker safe? It's ugly as shit. Keep it away from me.
There's nothing wrong with Charlene. She looks just like you look.
Looks like she got rabies.
She probably just has mange, okay?
Hi. I'm here to find some postcards. So if you guys don't need anything else, I'm gonna go in and find some postcards. Okay.
You just want the postcards, big guy?
Yeah, I pull out my postcards and I start showing the postcard collection to both of them.
Yeah.
Like, Wham Bam interpreted that as you showing in his postcard collection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now you're going to get the hours-long postcard, and the story of every time he found it. So this one's my favorite one. This is my Mount Rushmore. Well, this is technically my second favorite, but it's the one I have, so it's my favorite one. This is Mount Rushmore. This is Hawaii. This is Alaska. This is somewhere called California. This is Idaho. Okay. Oh, this one's cool. This one's called New York City. Yeah, you can see there are these things called Twin Towers there. It's really nice. It's pretty cool postcards. So I'm trying to find. I find these. So I think this vault has some. So I want one.
Yeah, I smells like I think you and I are gonna get along just fine.
Okay.
Like in my head, I'm like, I could take all the caps in there, all like the food, all the water for myself. Like this guy isn't. I'm gonna be able to take whatever I want as long as I get this guy a printed piece of paper.
That's pretty fair. Yeah.
Okay.
So, are you guys, are you human? I'm sorry, that's insensitive. That's really insensitive. What's your name?
What? Wham Bam.
Wham Bam. I'm Blair. And I extend I take my hand off the Molotov cocktail out of my pocket and extend a free hand to shake. Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Is like the handshakes are not like social greetings are not part of superhuman society, really. So like no one has ever presented a hand to shake before. So he like kind of like slaps it. He's like,
she slaps it back. Like,
okay.
great to meet you, Wham Bam.
Yeah. Okay. You too?
And what's your name? And she kind of turns her attention to the ghoul.
I kind of narrow my eyes a little bit, and I put the switchblade knife away, and I take out the switchblade comb again, and I go back to like combing my hair.
Yeah, that's nice.
My name is Shambles, lady.
That's an interesting name. I like it. That's very nice.
Yeah. You know what else is nice is I found this here vault first. It's my score.
I mean, I think we all kind of got here right around the same time. We could probably all just go in together and, safety in numbers and share. That might be nice.
I'm just looking
Sharing's nice.
for some postcards.
Yeah, well, I'll get you your postcards, big guy. 60-40. 60-40 split on whatever's on the inside.
What are you referring? Wham Bam's never heard these numbers before.
Hey,
I've heard 6 and 4, but what's the T on each of those you're referring to?
just think about the one postcard you're gonna get.
Well, I'm hoping there's more than one postcard.
Oh, okay. You can have all the postcards we find.
Okay. That's very gracious of you.
Shambles, I'll take you up on that 60-40 split.
Just to be clear, I'm getting the 60.
Yeah, that was clear.
Alright. Let's do this thing, then. Just don't get in my way.
You mean by the T, but okay. I mean, what? How? Just want postcards. You guys are making. Okay, Dad.
And with that, in those quiet moments, in those soft moments where you two are kind of having this conversation, as each of you stare at each other, still locked in a tense standoff, there's a loud burst of gunfire from somewhere within the vault. A moment later, you hear a woman's scream pierce through the air with 3 haunting words. Help me! Somebody! Turns out there's another person in your standoff, the final person in your standoff circle, a middle-aged man wearing a white lab coat, caked in mud, his face entirely covered by a wheezing gas mask, slowly raises his hands above his head. He's not holding a weapon. He says, "Please, friends," the man says as he takes a nervous but brave step towards the center of the circle. "Please, someone inside that vault is trouble. And besides, I'm sure there's enough valuables in there for all of us. None of us need to die out here. Maybe I could fit into that 60-40 you guys were just talking about."
What's your name?
We're still trying to figure out how the postcards fit into the 60-40. And you just added another layer of complication. Well, I don't like this.
Maybe it's all the postcards. That's what matters.
100, 0. Wow. How do I even know the number 100? It's a random access memory coming.
The gas mask wearing man in the lab coat goes, "My name is Rast. I'm Dr. Rast." And with that, that's probably where we're going to leave off at the end of this kind of intro. We'll kind of pick up, I think, for our first session 1, to kind of finish that out before we get too far. Does that sound good with everybody else?
Sounds good to me.
Perfect. Yeet, yeet, yeet.
Right. Well, yeah, I think the only questions that we didn't resolve was just that we need to kind of figure out the rolling vault boy dice for
figured
ammo
it out.
counts. Yeah, you
Oh,
did.
for the not for ammo counts, but I figured out my sheet. It fixed it.
Oh, what was going on?
I had put in 3 for the modifier, so it bumped it up, and then when I removed 0, it didn't like update, so I had to retype 0, and it updated.
Oh, interesting. Well, okay, that's good. So anybody at home who's like trying to work the sheet and have the same problem Dan did, so just try to put a 0 in there again. But yeah, if anybody has any questions about the Fallout RPG, feel free to ask us. I know we kind of went through a lot today with the character creation and stuff. I didn't fully go into detail about action points and stuff like that. I figured that we could definitely discuss that more with like session 1 when we kind of go into that. Really, my focus today was just to kind of create characters and introduce ourselves. The starter set kind of has those questions I asked you guys, which I thought were kind of cool for that standoff, and you kind of met the other character who's with you at the outside of the vault, Dr. Rast. And you heard some gunfire and a woman screaming inside the vault, so kind of set up the beginning of that scene. So, yeah, with that, I guess nobody had any other questions, right, that you guys had about the Fallout or anything like that?
Nope. It's looking like I'm seeing other places that reference rolling combat dice outside of just dealing damage, and it seems to be equal. Like you count the number of effects rolled.
Oh, okay.
So
the 5 and 6.
Yeah, so I think it's just on a 5 or 6.
You get
like
1?
Yes.
Okay.
So like for like if I find the bit in starting equipment, where did you go? Like as a person who got a tag skill in small guns, I roll 6 + 3 combat dice, additional shots of ammunition of a type I already possess. So I think I would just roll 6 + 3 combat dice, and I'd get 0, 1, 2, or 3 extra ammo on top of that 6.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think, as opposed to like getting up to like 18 extra ammo or whatever.
Yeah, right. That makes more sense, especially if you're playing with the Fallout dice. So thanks for looking that up.
How do you roll the combat dice in roll 20 then?
You just have to like keep an eye on the number rolled and do the proper mapping yourself. I can look up and see if maybe, I think there's like a little button in your character sheet to roll a number of combat dice. I'm just rolling it. I just did a quick roll and I got
2 damage.
2 damage, and I think that would be 1 effect because it's 1.
That's right.
Vault Boy face.
Hey, look at that. You get 2 effects, Ash.
And what does that mean?
So I was talking in the context of rolling for like starting ammunition.
Yeah, I need to do that too.
So what in my like starting ammunition, my starting equipment,
I get like 6 + 3 combat dice of ammunition.
yeah, so you, Ashley, since you got 2 effects there, 2 Vault Boys, I think you would get +2 to the base number.
Okay.
I think is how that works out.
That sounds right. Yeah.
So I'm gonna roll for my additional 1, 2, 3 plus 8 plus 6. 14, 17 ammo. That seems more reasonable than the like 80 billion I had before.
Well, perfect. Oh, by the way, we did get a question from Mike, Ash. How old is Blair?
She appears to be in her late 20s, early 30s, probably.
Okay, perfect.
Say 28.
Like 28. Perfect.
Like 28.
Well, great. Well, we can do some attributions before we kind of sign off on this final session 0. So I know that we used Roll20 today. Thank you to Roll20. We often use the Roll20 for all of our fun RPG adventures. It's a really nice, just free kind of system that allows us to kind of add that in and just design maps and stuff like that. And we had all these pre-built sheets in there. I think, Delta, I'm not sure if you're using it, but it sounds like Ash and Dan, you're both using the character sheet in Roll20 to make your characters.
Yeah, same.
Oh, perfect. Well, I'm glad it's working so well for everyone. So happy about that. Oh, Mike said the question was asked before hearing she had been in stasis. So whatever stasis adds to her years.
Yeah, so probably like, I don't know how far we are, but definitely in stasis.
Yeah. The Fallout RPG is made by Modiphius. They've made a ton of different stuff. I kept referencing Dune. It's the same kind of base system, but it's different for that. Modiphius does a lot of different IPs using this 2D20 system, but they do add some extra stuff. Like, as you can see, combat is way different in this one. So thank you to Modiphius for making this very cool game for us to play. The background image that we used for both our break as well as kind of like our layout here is called Sand, and it's by MattHPhotos. Thank you to MattHPhotos for providing this image for our background, which is like a nice kind of road leading into a post-apocalyptic kind of nuclear wasteland. I love that. So, Dalton, do you know the song that we used during our breaks? The name of it offhand?
Well, it was recorded by the Victor Herbert Orchestra in 1912, so I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter. They're all dead. But thank you.
We're using it for free for you guys. They're rolling in their graves right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be using Hero Forge like we always do for our character tokens when we make them. I don't think, do we have any other attributions? I think that's it.
Not at the moment.
Yeah. If you're curious about the game, I will say the quick start is available for free on Modiphius' website. So if you're curious about it and want to see some of the base rules that we're kind of working with, it doesn't have character creation, but it does have pre-made characters. And the adventure is different from what we're playing. We're playing the starter set one, not the quick start. So if you're curious about playing it, check that out on their website. And with that, I think that is the great conclusion to our session 0 for Fallout. I'm very excited. I'm excited for that Fallout TV show that's going to premiere next week, as well as I'm just excited to play this game with you guys. It's so cool to see how much the Fallout game they've really put into this tabletop RPG. Really captured the essence of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So yeah, I think see us here next Thursday.
Thursday.
At about the same time for our session 1. Or catch up. If you guys want to watch this video again or any of our others, you can find it on YouTube or listen to them wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever.
Yep.
And thanks for Mike and Dr. Squiggums for interacting with us. That was pretty cool. We enjoyed that.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Squiggums.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week, and keep on learning.
Hi, everybody.